Hello, this is Tanner Wilkinson, the voice of the Snow College Badgers, here to preview the Badgers' opening day matchup against the Utah Islanders. I'm joined by Director of Broadcasting, Joe Williams. Joe, we're here, brother. It's football season.
We are
you
here,
and I are
Tanner.
here working now for Snow College, hand in hand. You and I have known each other for a good while now, and appreciate your hand in me becoming the voice of the Badgers, and just excited to work with you, man. Excited for another great season of Snow Athletics.
You know how excited I get about football season. I know how excited you get about football season, and especially being able to cover snow sports now. You and I both have kind of a good attachment to snow, and it just feels like being home. You know, it just feels that way. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited.
Should be a great opening contest for the Badgers. They opened with the Utah Islanders a season ago, won that game 56-0. It was a drubbing. We just talked to Coach Erekson. He kind of compared this to a high-level FBS program, Power 4 program, taking on maybe a lower-level FCS team, right? He compared BYU playing Portland State in a week to this same kind of matchup. And
if I may speak to that for a second, you know, I was on the SnowTV crew during the COVID season, so that would have been spring of 2021 when the fall 2020 season was postponed until spring. That was the year the Badgers went to the national championship and lost to Iowa Western. We'll get that game back October 11th. You'll see it on SnowTV. But I bring that up because that year, most of their games were 50 to 80 points to 0 against teams very similar to the Islanders here. And, you know, you may ask why schedule those games? Why keep ramping up the score? It's because Snow doesn't have a conference. They don't have the guaranteed games against the teams of their same level, of their same caliber. So they just have to schedule the games that they can get and just score every single point they can. And obviously that season it worked. It got them to the national championship game. And, you know, this game, their season this year looks very different from that season, very, very different. But this game has that same kind of feeling.
yeah, I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to break a lot of new guys in. That's why you schedule these kind of games as well. It's why you see the Alabamas play the Mercers of the world, right? It's to maybe see what you've got, give some guys some run that maybe otherwise wouldn't have. And you know, I think Coach understands that. I think we're going to see a lot of guys play on Saturday in this game. Excited to see who the starting quarterback's going to be. Coach has said they've made a decision on that. Not going to reveal that. We know who it is. We're going to keep that on down low before the start of the game. But overall, I think the Badgers are in good shape. Ranked 6th in the country. You want to be somewhere in the top 6 to give yourself a shot to make that Final Four, that playoff.
Well, and, you know, talking to Coach Erekson last week about it, he made the point each of the last 6 years, I think he said, whoever wins the Snow versus Iowa Western game appears in the national championship game. And that I keep referring to that game coming up in October just because I think that is probably the Badgers' biggest game. But we've got this week the Islanders. You've got Highland the week after, Tyler Junior College after that, and then I believe and then they've got Army Junior Varsity on the road, and then it is that Iowa Western game. You've got 4 or 5 games before then that you've really got to get your feet under you and make sure that you know who your guys are and make sure you have a game plan.
Tyler's an interesting opponent. They're ranked 9th in the preseason poll. You also get Lackawanna County that's ranked in the top 15 coming here to Ephraim, and then Georgia Military is a game they'll head on to later on. So you got 4 ranked opponents on the schedule, a good recipe. If you can get maybe 3 of those 4, if not all 4, I think that guarantees you a spot in the playoff if you get 3 of the 4.
Easily. I mean, I don't want to say easily. There's nothing easy when it comes to winning a college football game.
Well, and the Badgers, nothing easy about winning a national championship. How close have the Badgers gotten over the years? Only have the one from 1984. Is this the year they get over the hump? We're about to find out.
I can see it. You know, Coach talks about in the interview that we're about to play. He talked about the talent on the team, how many guys he has, how deep they are, how many coaches they've got. It really, I can see them making it to a national championship this year.
SnowTV, your home for all Badger content. Producer extraordinaire and executive director Joe Williams. I don't know if that's your official director of broadcast.
Director of broadcasting and content.
And content. We'll call you an executive director. I think you've earned that title. This is Tanner Wilkinson, the voice of the Badgers. We'll now go to my conversation with Snow College head football coach Zac Erekson. Tanner Wilkinson here with you, joined by Snow College head football coach Zac Erekson as we begin to preview today's matchup between the Snow College Badgers, ranked 6th in the NJCAA preseason polls as they get set to take on the Utah Islanders. Coach, appreciate some time with you today before we get going. We joked a week ago. It's almost here now. It really is here.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here. Excited to get the season rolling and look forward to talking to you guys.
Last week we talked a little bit about how the Islanders are kind of a unique matchup for you guys, right? They don't necessarily fall in the NJCAA umbrella. We talked a little bit about what this matchup's been like. Last year, you guys got a 56-0 win at a sold-out field here at Snow College. Now you make the trip up to Harriman to play them at Zions Bank Stadium. Would you compare this kind of a matchup to almost like a high-level Power 4 team, maybe going up against an FCS-type school? Is that maybe how you'd lay it out for those wondering?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. BYU opens up with Portland State. We opened up with the Islanders. I think that's a good way to look at it. For us, this is really good this year. We have so many new guys on our squad that if we opened up with Iowa Western or Georgia Military, I'd be a little nervous. We gotta get out there and see kind of who we are and how our guys fit together, and so we're just excited to stop hitting each other and hit somebody else.
When we last spoke, you mentioned the quarterback situation had not been settled yet. Where does that stand now, just a few days away from game day?
Yeah, we have our starting quarterback, and you all will see who that is as the game starts. He definitely earned it through camp, and so we're excited to see what he can do going forward.
You mentioned replacing a lot of pieces. Who are some of the guys fans can expect to see back that contributed at a high level a year ago?
Yeah, so I think probably the two biggest names that are coming back, Matt Wilson, one of our running backs, number 2 from Miami, Florida. He's back with us, expecting a lot of big things out of him. And then one of our starting middle linebackers coming back from last year's squad, Mario Williams, is another guy that we're expecting a lot out of. He's going to be a big part of our team's success. And so, Sakope Wallace is somebody whose name doesn't get said a lot, starting right tackle. Probably will be one of the highest recruited players on our squad this year. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the country. And so, outside of that, there's not many more names that people would recognize, just because, like I said, we're replacing a lot of guys. But those 3 all were huge contributors in what we did last year.
Any particular guys that maybe jumped out to you at camp, that maybe some diamonds in the rough that you guys were able to find?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a whole lot. Seth Rigtrup, another running back from Springville, Utah, will expect to play a huge role for us. Tenny Worthen, Tayson Reed, another really big one. We kind of lucked out on this deal. We got a freshman All-American from SUU that ended up transferring here. Jaden Robertson will be in the defensive backfield, expecting a lot of big things out of him. There's so many guys that have had really good camps. We still got some questions some places, but a lot of these guys have solidified their roles on our team, and so we're looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Looking at this matchup with the Islanders, what might be some of your team goals that you're looking to accomplish in week 1 against this caliber of an opponent?
Yeah, I think we need to just find out who we are, right? It's one thing to do it in camp and to do it against each other. We need to be able to do it against somebody else. We need to be able to – I want to see how our guys compete. I want them to compete for 60 minutes. I don't care what the scoreboard says or doesn't say. We need to compete for 60 minutes. Obviously, the things you look for in a game, taking care of the football, right? We can't have turnovers. In a first football game of the year, you learn that there's going to be penalties. I expect us not to have penalties, and they know that, but we will. And so we need to see where we are as far as our discipline goes. Are we going to be a disciplined football team and be able to eliminate those things? And then are we a physical football team? What's the physicality level of this team, right? Like I said, with the exception of 3 or 4 guys, we don't really know what happens when we can actually turn them loose, because you go through camp and there's a physicality to that, but at the same time, we're trying to keep each other healthy and we're trying to make sure we get to game 1. And so, are we going to be a disciplined team? Are we going to be a physical team? Can we take care of the football? All of those type of things is kind of what we look for in week 1.
So started this last week. How do you help keep the guys accountable, finding that balance between now getting schoolwork done as well as being able to perform on the football field, whereas during camp, it's all football all the time?
Yeah. I think I'm probably the most excited person that school is starting. Those camp days are long, arduous days that you are just grinding, and it is hot, and you're trying to get as much into the kids as you possibly can in that time. And so I think this first week, it's probably a big relief for everybody. I think the kids are sick of hearing from me. I'm sick of seeing some of those kids. And so I think it was a big relief, right? Let's realize that our whole world isn't football, right? For the last 3 weeks it was, but now let's get back into reality. And so we've designed a schedule, I think, that works really well with our guys. A lot of our guys have required study halls that they have to go to. We're basically getting in, they'll have a full day of class, they'll have workout, and then they'll have practice. And then on top of that, then they'll have study hall, et cetera. So there's not really a lot of time for anything else. And so I think the guys, as they realize, I can't do one without the other, right? I probably wouldn't be here going to school if I wasn't playing football. But if I don't do school, then I can't keep playing football. And so I think they've found a really good balance of being able to say, okay, I got to have both here, and let's just make sure that, we tell our guys that, you have to be disciplined in everything. You can't just be disciplined on the football field and be terrible in the classroom. Same thing with effort. If you're going to give us everything on the football field, you better give us everything in the classroom. I'm a big believer, how you do one thing's how you do anything. And so we really emphasize that. And so finding that balance, I think, is something that we've been able to do in scheduling their day out. I mean, we don't leave much time for them to have to worry about what am I going to do, right? We start in the weight room at 6 a.m. and our study halls run usually from 6 to 8 p.m. And so, 8 o'clock, you're exhausted, go eat, go do whatever homework you have, and take your butt to bed, because guess what? You got to be back up at 6 o'clock the next morning. And so, but I'll tell you this, I'm glad camp is over. This camp, I don't know what it was about this camp. Maybe it was the number of kids that we had, but this camp was, in 17 or 18 fall camps I've been through as a coach, I'm glad to see this one over.
Well, if I can pay you guys a compliment, my wife's the nutrition professor here at Snow. She had 8 of your players in class today, all in the front row, all very attentive, all very good to go.
Good,
so
they're paying attention.
She wanted to pass that along and make sure you know that they're good to go on that front. You mentioned we talked about this last week too, a lot of guys, a lot of bodies that came into this fall camp, the number of kids. Where does that number stand heading into this first week?
Yeah, so we brought 189 guys into camp. And we are down to 171. So we lost 18 guys, which, that's pretty normal, actually. And I'm actually surprised that it was that low, because you're going to lose 15-ish guys when you bring in 110, right? And so to kind of be in that same wheelhouse, I think is a good sign, right? We still are bursting at the seams even at that 170 number. But what it's done is it's given us a great opportunity to really evaluate the depth that we have and where we have depth and even where we don't. Right now we have 36, 37 defensive backs, but we've fallen down to, I think we're at 20 offensive linemen. And so it's allowed us to kind of plug and play and see what kids can do and what they can't do, where we have depth, where maybe we need to focus more recruiting. But I think it's been really good for some things. Other things, it's a lot. That's a lot of laundry to do. And so we've done our best to try to get through it. And now we kind of get into a routine, and those guys will kind of, while we'll all stick together, we'll kind of fall into our niches, right? With our, 56 to 72 varsity travel squad players, and then we'll have another 50 JV players that will kind of fall into that niche and play those 7 games. And so now we kind of can start to solidify those things, and maybe it'll make things a little bit smoother going forward for the rest of the year.
Well, Coach, best of luck. I think everyone's ready for the return of college football. No, certainly you've hinted at that throughout this process, and best of luck to you guys as you take on the Islanders.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is Tanner Wilkinson, the voice of the Badgers. Appreciate you tuning in.